He just left me hanging out in the dark.
I get to
Woman,
yapping.
I could hear you, but the price is, without any further justification, it's $200,000 per person who wants to bid his freak change, and the price of 10 of those is $2 million, and that is most of the way toward refurbishing a new M1 tank hull and making it into an M1A2 tank, state of the art. It will buy you, if you get 3 of them, it will get you a fully equipped Rhino, which is a mine-resistant vehicle, which will save the lives of 6 to 16 or 17 young soldiers who would otherwise be maimed, mutilated, or killed by IEDs, that's improvised explosive devices. So you take one son of a bitch, 2 of them, who got to get their freak on and get elective cosmetic surgery. And then when you do that, of course, they have to recover, and there are multiple operations. So by the time they get through getting converted, I guess go through that cyborg crap, their time in the service is up. So what did we do? We just funded them. So why are we spending that? I know some woman who is a vet and she needs some money for surgery. So she's got to borrow almost $4,800. When why can't it go to this hard serving vet who needs the help instead of a fool who hates what he is? Now, see, isn't the military all about duty, honor, responsibility, obligation, accountability? And then here you have people that hate what they are, so they are not accepting of their circumstances and proud of the fact that they are men, but they want to be something else. Hell, you don't need them in the military. And it's an embarrassment. The military for years and years has had a thing for its NCOs, that means sergeants and chiefs, and for its combat officers, which is, instead of go there, it's follow me. So you're going to follow a sergeant who has just got through performing for you as a drag queen? Give me a break. That's a joke.
Yeah, can you tell me about the article you sent me earlier about the drag queen show as on a military
what
base?
It is, it's at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, which is one of the major air bases. So supposedly, for purposes of morale and boosting the troops, oh God, it's just so crazy. It doesn't even match up. How many damn drag queens do they have in the United States Armed Services?
Wait a minute. So the people who are drag queens are the people who are in the military.
These are soldiers. They're in the military. These are sergeants and what they call them non-coms, who are supposed to be leading troops, and they're dressed up like sissies.
As a joke.
Can you say you are a troop and you got to follow somebody into a hot fire thing, and you just got through sawing him dressed up as a woman, as a drag queen, and you're supposed to say, oh yeah, wow.
Because during World War II, you had people like Marilyn Monroe visiting the troops to lift up their morale.
I know, but these are actual personnel in the military.
Right, dressed up as women today in 2021 to lift morale of our soldiers. Yeah. That's crazy.
And then the other thing is that other article I sent you from the ACLU. You see that about the National Defense Initiative thing, where under Obama's defense executive order that Trump never exercised, but Obama Tang did. And I'm sure a Bush bunny, bang boy here, Biden and his crackhead son and the family would love the issue, which says the United States of America, the president of the United States, can, without probable cause on his own initiative, have the military lock up civilians that he thinks are a threat or disruptive, even if they have committed no crime.
Yeah, it says
for indefinite purposes, for indefinite periods.
It says indefinite detention, endless worldwide war, and
that worldwide war is this liberal garbage, but
and the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah, now the National Defense Authorization Act is the poison one. Forget all that worldwide war crap. That's just some frou-frou thrown in there.
So let me just read this.
What it basically means is, translating, the president of the United States can, without due process of law, have the military lock up any civilian if the president says he doesn't like it.
Right. It says on December 31st, 2011, President Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, codifying indefinite military detention without charge or trial into law for the first time in American history. The NDAA's dangerous detention provisions will authorize the president and all future presidents to order the military to pick up and indefinitely imprison people captured anywhere in the world far from any
No, that's
battlefield.
Not really right. It's not captured. In other words, you don't capture an American citizen in his damn home and he has committed no crime. And you don't use the military to come in to deal with a civilian situation. If he has committed a crime, then some magistrate or judge issues a warrant for his arrest, or a grand jury returns an indictment. You don't have a son of a bitch sitting up in the goddamn Oval Office deciding I don't like him, I'm going to send the military to go take him into custody in a military facility indefinitely with no bond and no right to go see a judge.
So they try to throw in worldwide, meaning in America, they could pull you out your house.
That's just liberal bullshit. They're trying to see, ACLU is so fucked up these days. They get a good idea going and then they got to throw in some of that frou-frou garbage about we're at war in the whole world. Oh my God, we're warmongers. Well, forget all that. Let's talk about what happens domestically. That National Defense Initiative is poised.
So speaking of politics, Kamala Harris.
Also, Obama signed an executive order, and I read the transcript from the proceedings that were filed in federal court. He claimed that as president, he had a right that superseded the Constitution without due process of law to deprive an American citizen of his life if on his exclusive authority and with his sole opinion that that American was a threat. Even if that American had broken no laws, he could have that American citizen murdered here in America. And that's still down on the books. That's an executive order. And actually the court enjoined him, but what he wound up doing is he had the man assassinated anyway, which should have been, and that's an impeachable offense, by the way. The Constitution says the president is bound to follow the orders of the courts. But anyway, the federal court enjoined him. So Obama carried out the assassination of this American citizen who was born in Detroit, Michigan. And then 4.5 hours later, the assassination of his 16-year-old son, born in Detroit, so he would not cause any further problems. Now, he should have been impeached, and he ought to be in a federal penitentiary for murder for that.
Also, in politics news.
By the way, they still could do that because technically they set that precedent of trying to go after Trump after he was out of office. So they
that's
go
true.
after the Obama thing and impeach his ass, and also he should be prosecuted for murder. He had an injunction against him by a federal court, and he, without any crime being committed by these two, the man and his son, killed him.
Kamala Harris is set to visit.
One's 16 years old now, and the other one is a grown man, his father. The grandfather.
Well, I mean, okay, so just because you don't want to let this go, but is he the first president or first leader of a country that done that?
No, what I'm saying is there's some transcripts from the Kennedy administration, and Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, McNamara, and somebody who's a chief of staff, they're talking about, we've tried to get Fidel Castro assassinated. He just said, if anybody found out about this, we'd all go to a federal penitentiary because it was against the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they do it.
I mean, they do a lot of things that's against the Constitution and against the law.
This, they claimed it was lawful. See, and the judge on the transcript is asking the U.S. Attorney's Office, on what authority does he have to violate the Constitution? Well, it's superior to the Constitution. He said, what? Doesn't he take an oath of office to support the Constitution? Well, yes. So you're saying that this president, without any probable cause, can deprive somebody of their life. Remember this, he says in the Bill of Rights, no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. You're saying that this president on his own order can have an American citizen deprived of his life without due process to summarily execute the man, and the man hasn't even committed a crime. He said, well, yeah. So in other words, if somebody, gentlemen, leaves the country unsuspectingly, they can be killed. Well, not quite. Well, what do you mean not quite? Well, Your Honor, it's the government's position. He doesn't have to leave the country. So the judge said, wait a minute. Are you saying the president can have somebody murdered here on American soil on his order without due process of law and no crime being committed and no war declared? Well, yes, Your Honor. He said, well, what happens if the police intervene and a cop gets shot? He said, well, the president can pardon the people involved. Well, who pardons the president?
Yeah.
Well, he said, well,
but he could pardon himself.
President is above it all. He said, since when does any American official find himself above the Constitution?
But can't the president pardon himself?
No, hell no.
I thought he could. Wait, maybe I was
No,
watching.
That's some bullshit they spread out there with the ignoramuses that don't know anything, and the folk that barely squeak through law school.
I think I was watching too many House of Cards. So listen, all right, let's move on to this. Kamala Harris is set to visit the border this week.
Well, you know why she's taking 91 days, 92 now. She was studying Rosetta Stone so she could learn Espanol and claim to be a Mexican. You know, she likes to pass for stuff. I guess she could pass for Hispanic too.
Yeah, she could. So it says Vice President
Next
Kamala.
we're going to start finding her hablar en Espanol. So what is it? Chucks and pearls, or what is it going to be
now?
How
you say chucks and pearls in Spanish?
No, not chucks and pearls. What are they? Zapatos, you know, and pearls.
It says Vice President Kamala Harris is heading to the U.S.-Mexican border this week amid an unrelenting chorus of criticism from Republicans over her failure to visit there. And why is she going this week? Because all of a sudden, because Trump is supposed to be going. He went, or is he going? He's trying to beat him before he goes.
Down there.
Yeah.
I mean, look. Can you see they're already grooming Biden's jackass self, chief jackass in charge, commander in chief jackass. That's the Democratic Party. Their symbol's a jackass, isn't it? It's a donkey, but jackass is another name for donkey. And they're already trying to give him an made to save face so he can retire. Because of senility, his friends are already saying he needs to have cognitive testing to see if he can still hang together because he's showing signs of senility. So the thing is, as I said, how long ago the whole plan was so he can get in and halfway through or so resign in favor of Queenla Imhoff, aka Harris, becoming president, and Nancy Pelosi becoming vice president under the operation of the 20th Amendment. Isn't that not poisonous?
Mm-hmm. All right. So the topic tonight, now we got that out the way, and try to restrain from the F word.
Did I say the F word?
No, I'm just saying going forward, but you didn't say it.
By the way, you know what that means in an English dictionary, Oxford?
What?
F-U-C-K. It's a real word, and what it means is to plant a plowed road. You see how they switched it over, like you take one of these, a screwdriver, and you turn in a fixing device, you screw it in. What do they call it? Getting screwed or screwing? You see, so the act of planting, fuck, is a technical word. It's been one for 400 years in the English language. It means precisely to plant a plowed road.
Right. Well, for YouTube purposes, that's derogatory word, so we will not be
so full of YouTube is so full of ship high in transit. You know where that came from?
No.
Back when they used to use ammonium nitrite, aka bat or bird guano. They would ship it on these sailing ships, which is all they had, so they'd have these crates. Now, if it got down low in the hold, it might get damp and it would produce gas. So when they went through a storm, the crew didn't have flashlights. They had lamps and candles. So when they go down there to see if the cargo had shifted, if it had gotten wet, it would release this gas and boom, the ship would blow up. So they started stenciling on the sides of this bat and bird guano that they needed for basically saltpeter, which is an ingredient of old black gunpowder. They would say ship high in transit, SHIT. So that's where the name came from, ship high in transit.
Thank you, Alexandria Shaw, for the super chat. Thank you. Guys, please hit the like button. Please, if you want to donate Cash App, the Cash App link is in the description, or super chat. Thank you, ROTDT podcast. Hey, Dana and Judge, great show. Congratulations on going viral. Yes. So, Judge,
viral? You went viral, dear?
Well, so people are upset at me again. We went viral, but it's really because of what
viral. It's your show. I was just material and fodder for your show.
Because I put in a community, I posted.
So you went viral.
Okay, yeah, I went viral, and I said, I went viral, y'all, and it was like, you mean the judge? You wouldn't have done none if it wasn't for the judge.
Is ruling. Dana went viral.
Thank you.
You look better than I do. People will be more likely to tune in to see you than me anyway.
They mad, honey. They were upset. Yeah, it's like, but you're not mad. And I'm just like,
no, I'm not mad. They just Jay.
So yeah, so we went viral. You always getting into something, Judge, but
what
it's a good thing.
Into, except all I
tell
do
the truth.
Tell the truth. So I mean, you see how crazy the world has gotten. Well, America has gotten. By telling the truth, you get in trouble. All these fake Negroes, fake white people, fake yellow people, fake red people, fake brown people, fake whatever people you have, they need to reel up and become real people again. Candid, frank, let it all hang out, damn it, instead of not just the dirty drawers part. So, all right. Sagged and bagged, looking like a fool with your britches buckled under your butt parts.
So I want to ask you a question, 2 questions, right? And I want you to answer like that. So can critical race theory help us Black people?
No,
and what are your thoughts? Can you break down critical race theory? I'm gonna break it
down. What it is this 1960s Black studies with a new label. Somebody, a woman named Crenshaw, who also happens to be a lawyer, is trying to front it off and pimp it and get some academic acclaim by rebottling an old product. It's the same thing that was discussed in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, and in the 1960s when they started having Black study, it got put in. It is not a critical analysis of race relations in America. It's critical, but not of white people in general, just white men. So it attempts to demonize white men, which on top of demonizing Black men is another thing in the feather bonnet of the feminists and the LGBT crowd about trying to down masculinity. It's poison. It should not be taught to elementary school kids because basically what it says is white people are devils, which doesn't do any good for the poor white kid, nor for the Black kid who's listening to it. And the message is, don't even try, little brother. It's all stacked against you. You might as well sit at home playing your video games. And when you get old enough to buy the reefer, go get high. Smoke you a big joint or a blunt on your couch and get stoned and don't do anything with your life because you got an excuse. It's crap. It's just intellectual dishonesty by somebody, I think her name's Crenshaw, trying to take an old thing and rebottle it with a new name. It's not critical. It's not even about race theory. It is thinly disguised feminism. It's anti-masculinity. And it's basically bullshit. Ship high in transit.
Right.
Bullshit high in transit.
So, okay. So it says critical race theory has 5 tenets, right? And I want to name the tenets and you could go ahead and talk from there. It says the tenet 1, the centrality and the sexual and intersectionality of race and racism. Number 2, challenge to dominate ideology. Number 3, commitment to social justice. Number 4, experimental knowledge and counter storytelling. And number 5, interdisciplinary perspectives.
Okay, see, storytelling, that's the key to the whole damn thing. First off, one of this woman's premises is there's no such thing as race. Race is all just a cultural choice, according to her. So that's definitely not critical race theory. Science supports that there are, in fact, races. Races are not hard and fast, but there are. So she says in her premise that there's no such thing as race. That's the social construct. So where the hell does your critical race theory go there if you say there's no such thing as a race in the first place?
Well, she's also heavy into intersectionality, and intersectionality can be very dangerous, especially for Black people, as far as using that, because her thing is race and gender equals discrimination when we're talking about the Black woman. And she did a TED Talks when she was comparing the Black men like Mike Brown, Eric Garner, the Black men who were killed by police, and the Black women who were killed by police, and nobody know their name, but you know the Black men name.
That's
so
just
it's like
feminist trap.
Right.
See, look.
Thank you, John, for the super chat.
First off, look. You know what she does? She goes into this trap. Oh, aren't you happy we gave you Juneteenth? Aren't you happy that we recognized what happened in 1921 in Oklahoma in Tulsa? So the fool Negroes on the Black Caucus can do buck dances down the street to banjo and harmonica music. And instead of having a solemn occasion to deal with commemorating these Black folk who were slaughtered, these damn fools are partying. Buck dancing. You see, the whole premises is crazy.
Having shootouts at Juneteenth celebrations.
Yeah, I mean, and then when somebody's getting put in an ambulance, the damn fools are twerking on the side of the ambulance and got to shoo them off the top of the ambulance before they can move somebody to the hospital because these fools are twerking on it. I mean, just that kind of slave mentality type stuff, see. It's like, oh, look what we gave you. So what did you give? She just fit into that whole trap of kind of come up with a disingenuous conversation, basically to say it's unfair not to recognize the Black woman's participation. Now, yes, there have been Black women that have been killed by cops, but overwhelmingly more Black men are killed. And what you see in the news is the tip of the iceberg. That's just what some 23-year-old in the newsroom pulled off of the net when the news got slow that day. So all of the Black men, by the way, who died in all of the wars, over there, the sand pile recently, the sand pile 30 years ago, the Nam, Korea, World War II, World War I, Spanish-American War, the Civil War, the Mexican-American War, the War of 1812, the Revolutionary War, all of these Black folk that died, to hell with them, we're going to focus on a handful. What we get? We get on average about 200 Black folk get killed by police every year, which is a pittance. That is small potatoes compared to the 7,000 to 9,000 Black folk that are killed by other Black folk behind some BS. So, I mean, it's bad, but let's get perspective. And you see, she wants to ignore all of that. And again, it's these evil men that cause all of this. And women are getting dumped on because if you get killed and we don't give them enough recognition, that's not the point, woman. Stop trying to pimp this stuff by selling something that doesn't need to be sold. If you want to go do it, just be honest and say, maybe we need to look at some of the stuff they were trying to push in Black studies back in 1966, 67, 68, 69, instead of me trying to, we need critical race theory. And we need to get it taught to the elementary school kids who wouldn't have a clue. Most of their school teachers wouldn't have a clue. The lady that came up with it, Crenshaw, doesn't have a damn clue. So maybe you need to save it for one of those specialty courses in college because it's not critical. It does not analyze anything. It denies the fundamental premises that most people would associate with the phenomenon. There's no proof of it. It's a wish list. And it just happens to deal with social belief, which is hers, which is not mine and not that of a lot of other people. It's just pimping, it's hustling.
Yeah, and just
Often
to,
as I said it, we got too many folk pimping and playing pimp and hoe on the movement.
and just for me to go back a little bit with her comparing the black man, the black women, you know, and black say her name, black women are not being recognized. See, the thing is, those black men names that we all know and the black women names that we don't know, what is the similarities? It doesn't matter if you know their name or not, because there was no justice for any black person.
Black people getting gunned down by official parties and there's no redress.
Right.
Worse still,
So
the
you know
bottom
Freddie
line
Gray's
is,
name, but there's no justice. I
yeah,
don't know Breonna Taylor's name, and there's still no justice.
well,
So
Breonna Taylor, there's no
no, no, no,
killing
no.
involved,
My point is,
homicide, you know, but
that's the problem with intersectionality, because you are focusing on something that does not matter.
it's
What
irrelevant.
matters is, was justice served for us? No.
Okay, now also Breonna Taylor, there, I mean, as a criminal court judge, there was nothing anybody could have been charged with that's criminal or even civil negligence, except the department itself for setting up the circumstances. That's just one of those things that falls between the cracks, but it is an injustice because it sets up, it's representative of an atmosphere. Our big problem is we belong to the slave plantation known as the Jackass Party place, the Democratic Party, and we gravitate to that, and we get no political play for our votes. So we are politically impotent, and the police are a direct barometer to your political worth in America, which in America for Black folk, because they are so totally loyal to one party that delivers them nothing except Juneteenth feel good, celebrating what? You didn't get free. Celebrating what? You didn't win your freedom. Celebrating what? It wasn't when it happened. Celebrating what? It was 3 years after it happened. Celebrating what? It's just some ignorant Negroes in Texas found out because they were out there with the prairie dogs and the steers. You know, I mean, come on, what's there to celebrate? If you wanted to celebrate, damn it, you should have
Oh, honey,
come
they
up
was
with,
doing the electric slide.
yeah, I mean, if you wanted to celebrate something, let these fool Negroes celebrate when the 13th Amendment got ratified, when the state of Tennessee was the last state necessary to sign it. How about that? That's real. At least that's a concrete moment. You're no longer a slave, except in the Indian territories, and we had to deal with some treaty modifications with them. But I mean, what do you celebrate? You didn't get free. You already were. You didn't fight for your freedom. Some good brothers did. They joined the Union Army. 1/3 of the Union Army was Black by the end of the Civil War. You didn't run away from slavery. So what did you do? You're just ignorant, and you already got told by your own people in May 1865, and you wouldn't believe your own brothers. It took you a whole year. Now they have historical revisionism. They're trying to put the date from June 19th, 1866 back to 65. Do you know what happened in May?
So
Sherman.
why don't certain historians acknowledge that Black soldiers were telling slaves that they were free?
They did. They wouldn't believe them.
Nobody, but no, I'm talking about historians today don't put that in
because
context.
they don't know. They're too damn ignorant. Just like this Crenshaw woman. And see, what happens is this. You get a situation. June 19th, 1866, the captain of a United States Navy vessel is docking in Galveston. He gets his ex-executive officer. He said, what the devil are they doing with these lashes to these Negroes down there on the dock? Go check it out. XO comes back, said, Captain, these folk think they're still slaves.
All right. One more thing before I post the number for people to call in. Cultural appropriation. So this is what happened this week. Actor Michael B. Jordan, he has a rum product, a new rum, and he call it Jove, J, comma, O-U-V-E-R-T is French. Jove. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. So
spell it.
J hyphen O-U-V-E-R-T is French. And that
O-V-U-R-T?
O-J hyphen O-U-V-E-R-T.
O-U-V-E-R-T. Oh,
Right.
there.
So that
You
means
don't
like,
pronounce the T.
Okay. So,
Zover.
Jo-
Le vin est ouvert.
so it means celebration and party all night. So apparently he got he got a lot of backlash saying he was culturally appropriating Trinidadian culture. And so now it says actor B. Jordan he's going to rename his rum drink brand amid allegations of Caribbean cultural appropriation.
I wouldn't buy one goddamn drop if he does that.
Right. Now, the rapper Nicki Minaj, she urged him to rethink the use of the name.
What the hell she got to say about it?
Because she's Trinidadian and she's a worldwide
goddamn
rapper.
What? Look what she's doing to black youth in this country, coming from Trinidad, man. I mean, nothing wrong with Trinidad. It'd be okay, man. So what's wrong with the whole damn thing? All of us were part of the English colonial system that embraced slavery, except England abolished theirs in 1743. We had to have a massive civil war, and they had the Emancipation Proclamation 120 years later in 1863, February. Okay, fine. So what's the difference?
Right. And so they're saying, well, you're not Trinidadian, you're not even Caribbean, so you should not be using our term for our carnival celebrations.
Why not? Don't they use some terms from Black America, Black Caribbean? You know, it all.
But it's a colonized term.
It all be the same, man.
How are you? So you're accusing him of cultural appropriating a colonized term of the French?
Look. These are ignorant people. By that I mean unenlightened with little knowledge. So they have these things that they flutter about because they want to be relevant. What they do is they distract the public by entertainments. Most of them are actors, and they spend their entire adult careers on fake or trying, because they have a talent of singing and keeping you entertained and distracted. You see, they get folk dancing. They don't have people marching, you know, like Marshall's song, dum, 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 you know, and everybody is stepping smartly in lockstep, ready to go to war. They don't have it. They just got bug dancing fools out there with banjos and harmonicas, and you know, you got a little invisible sucker over there with the organ cranking away and a little invisible set of silver chains going out.
Right.
Now, and they're irrelevant. See, we focused on entertainment and athletics as our heroics rather than who the hell got out front and got us halfway another step toward being free.
Exactly. And they probably never even heard of Stokely Carmichael.
Negativity in your music that glorifies dysfunction. Don't say crap to me.
Exactly. And I'm like, a majority of Trinidadians don't even know who Stokely Carmichael is. Now, Michael B. Jordan, he released a statement. He said, I just want to say on behalf of myself and my partners, our intention was never to offend or hurt a culture we love and respect, and hope to celebrate and shine a positive light on.
Wait. Why is he doing that?
Because the people were commenting on social media upset.
A bunch of little creeps that had nothing else to do. That doesn't represent the real people. You know, an example of that is like General Foods took Aunt Jemima off the pancake box. My generation and earlier, we didn't have an objection to Aunt Jemima on the pancake box. You know why? Why? It was a real live Black woman. She was one of the first Black millionaires in America. She invented the pancakes that had her face and her name on it. And she sold the stuff to General Mills. So the family was making a good deal of money every year off of royalties. Now a Black family got cut out of money, so because some goddamn fools didn't know what the hell they were talking about. That was her actual picture.
Right. Guys, please. I posted the calling number. I pinned it to the top of the love room, which is a chat room. So start calling in now. Please don't wait another 30, 40 minutes of us talking, because I'm not trying to be here all night.
Switch gears. You done got me all riled up off of
how?
We ain't even talking about ignorance. We talking about ignorance. congenital condition. Your ass been born ignorant. You ain't grown out if you done got more ignorant as you aged.
All right. Wait,
Not all of us, some of us.
Right. Let me take this caller. 832. Hi, press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, Judge. Hello, Dana.
Hi, how are
Hello
you?
there.
Oh, yeah, Judge, I wanted to get your comments on the Democrats on trying to pass these new voting bills. You know, they
That's
had
so much
HR
damn
1.
crap. That's so
Yeah,
much
HR
crap.
1 failed, and For the People Act failed. Now they're going to do the John Lewis one. They're desperately trying to pass it. In my opinion, is because their policies are so horrible. You know, we got a high crime, we got a border crisis, we got a gas shortage, and we got massive inflation. So I think they're desperately trying to hold on to power. But something I saw on the weekend shows, they're trying to do it through reconciliation. Could you please explain to the viewers what reconciliation is and how they might be able to pass it through that if they can?
Well, in pastures where you have a herd of cows, there's an occasional bull. And when the bull eats and goes through chewing its cud and it passes through its multiple stomachs, eventually it comes out. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
BS. In other words, what they're trying to do is make it easy to cheat.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But would they be able to do that through the budget reconciliation?
Frankly, my opinion, you can't get yourself down to register to vote. You don't need to vote because you're too damn stupid and ignorant to vote wisely. You see, the type they're trying to get in are those who respond to insane commercials like "Take Your Booties to the Poll" that they did down here in Atlanta, where half of those strippers shaking bare butts on the pole were trannies, not even real women, or a third anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's supposed to get somebody down to the poll to vote. What issues did you talk about? What important subjects got broached? What policies got discussed or recognized or identified? None. See, this is crap. This is just because the Democratic Party, which enslaved all these people, which was founded at the beginning of the 19th century on the premises that it was to be the party that would spread slavery into the new territories and ensure the existence and lasting nature of slavery as an institution in America. I guess the colored have drifted back home to the plantations. Now they got a redneck trailer park piece of crap who's in the Oval Office. He wasn't even high enough up on the level to be a plantation owner. He's just a wannabe overseer. And he used to brag about being from the last state in the United States of America to abolish slavery, even after the 13th Amendment was passed. They had to threaten action against them. Delaware.
Right.
And he used to brag about how he was proud that Delaware was a slave-holding state. And oh, by the way, since he's from Delaware by way of Pittsburgh, that made him an expert on Negroes. That was at a time when nobody was saying Negro. Everybody was either Black or Afro-American.
Caller 832, I muted you because you was doing too much walking around. Did you want to say something else before you go? You can unmute yourself. 832. Okay. Thank you, 832. Let me take the next caller. Guys, if you want to call it 832.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Judge, I wanted to get you on what do you think about the New York City mayor race? And the guy who won is apparently, he's a Democrat, Eric Adams, but he was also police chief and a former Republican. And what do you think on that? And Andrew Yang and the progressives losing on that. And that's all I got to say. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Dina.
Well,
Thank
my
you.
opinion, New York is New York. And it's like some other foreign country. You don't have your full rights in the state of New York. You're supposed to be a subject, like they still belong to the English crown or something. I don't know. Maybe one day they'll get it together and come back into the fold with the rest of the country where people have rights.
Thank you, caller. All right, let me go to, what is this? 510. Hi. Press *6 to unmute yourself. 510. Press *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you, John Smith. He says, many thanks to the beautiful, intelligent Dana and the wise, intelligent elder, Judge Joe Brown. You know what I don't like? I don't like that word elder. You're not elder to me. But, you know, it's not disrespectful. And I know they're using it as in something respectful, but yeah, I just don't, it's like, I don't see you as an elder. 510, press *6.
I'll take that. That means I got another 20 years before I can get to be an elder. I'll take being a young man or a mature man before I get to be an elder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're 90 plus, that's when you're an elder. Okay, 510. I said 516. 510. If you don't press *6 in 15 seconds, I'm gonna have to remove you and go on to the next caller. Hello, hi.
Oh, you said *6. I was pressing *26.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I like to, thank you, Judge Joe Brown, for doing this, and Dana for hosting it. This is a great avenue right now, and all the information that I'm getting and everybody else receiving is dope. But I got two quick questions. I'm in late 2027. So what do you think I can do or should do to impact my community in a positive way? And also, how do you feel about the legislation on gun control within California? And what does that mean to you?
Well, let me just start with that one first. It seems the cities that have the most strict gun control have the highest gun crimes: Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. It doesn't make sense. It's like, why do you think the Russians and the Americans and everybody had a Cold War and everybody was armed to the teeth? Because when your enemies are armed, you arm too. You don't go around playing an unarmed sheep with the wolves circling around. Our enemies are the fools that break the law, so the police can't protect us. Look at how many people are getting slaughtered already. Now, do you think that the people who are committing murders that will get them in the electric chair, gas chamber, lethal injection, firing squad, life in the penitentiary without possibility of parole, do you think they give a damn about adding on another term for having a pistol when they do it? No. And are you going to stop them from getting weapons? No, because you have had a 40-year-long war on drugs and you can't stop the drugs. And when you send shipments of drugs in, you send crates of illegal guns in. So look at what happened in Chicago, where jackass Lightfoot up in there sat there and furnished some street gangs some money, and they bought up all of the weapons that got stolen from those pilfered boxcars in the IC railroad yard. You know, those guns were going to police institutions and official sources, but they got hijacked. It happens all the time. You don't even have to smuggle them in. They're here in the United States. But I mean,
Right.
You know, and then they want you to believe this clip crap about you can go buy a gun without running through a background check. That's crap. You buy it at a gun show, you run it through a background check. You buy it at a dealer, you run it through a background check. So they got all kinds of woofing that's just outright lies, and they are afraid of you being a man. They also want you disarmed, because when I look at what they're doing, the things that they're sneaking in under Equality Act, the things they're sneaking in under Asian Protection Act, the things that they're trying to sneak in under other acts that are not mentioned in the caption. See, they go in the criminal law section and they get added to this, and they deal with criminal procedure. And they also start abrogating the First Amendment. So now you don't have freedom of speech. All you can do is say rah, rah, rah. You can't be critical if you hurt somebody's feelings, but they can hurt yours. You are losing your right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures.
Right.
We just got through going into one where Biden has at his hands an criminal act signed by Barack Obama's ass that allows the president to send in the military to arrest and detain citizens of this country without probable cause, without due process, without warrant, without bail, indefinitely, without being able to see a judge. And see, that's in place. Obama Tang signed an order that gave the president the authority to commit murder if in his sole estimation, he thought it was worthwhile. Murder of American citizens living in the United States of America who've committed no crime. This is some scary stuff, excuse me, ship high in transit. Adolf Hitler didn't even have this at his disposal.
Right.
Thank you,
like
KSP TV and Media. King Simon presents, says Dana and the judge will make a great couple. Oh,
how sweet.
Mm-hmm. And what was your second question? Did he answer it? I think your second question was something different.
That was the first one was how can us young folk affect the community, the younger people, like the kids? I'm 27. How can we affect and shift the community in a positive way?
Make being a jerk very uncool. Make manly cool. Make standing up for right the cool thing to do. Make punking out a lame thing to do. Make protecting your community, looking to its interest cool. Make tearing it down, selling poison, jacking up the women, endangering everybody around, make that very uncool. See, we've had 50 years worth of glorification of dysfunction. We need to get back to making functionality what's happening. In other words, you lame punk, what's wrong with you? Man, I'm gonna pop a cap on you, because you don't have a nerve to go toe to toe because you ain't nothing but a punk.
Right, or even speak about it.
Thank you, caller.
Take a lot of karate too, so you can really whip some behind if push comes to shove.
I mean, yeah, I take boxing, but how as far as
boxing is good. It's all about how hard you get, how hard you hit, how well you can avoid getting hit, and how heavy a hit you can take. It's called fighting. Karate for real is not about all this dancing around you see in the movies. It's about hit hard. And most fights don't last as long as they do in the movies.
Right.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, young man. That's a good question.
No problem. So
2 questions.
Yeah, that was two. That was I don't want to do too much, but yeah, that's it.
You sure?
Miss Dana might let you ask another 2 or 1.
Yeah, because I like when young people call because they need guidance. And that means you're interested in doing something to better yourself, your community, your family. So
keep asking, young man. You got another one?
Do you have another?
Yeah, I've been thinking about how to get to the high schoolers and middle schoolers in my community, and it's hard seeing a route like. How would I get,
Go see the principal and say, look, I am a concerned young person. I'd like to talk to you about what we can do about straightening these kids out so they take full advantage of kindergarten through 12th grade. You open up kindergarten through, you do what you're supposed to do from K through 12. All the rest of the doors in life are unlocked. You may have to kick them all the way in, but at least they aren't locked. And I have some other guys that would like to talk to them about being straight and keeping it together and doing the right thing. Try it. They might let you in.
Yeah, I was thinking about like a boxing program to
That's
get away
a
from.
great idea. No, but you'd get these little punks. Oh my God, they will be fighting. Oh, how horrible.
Oh, wow.
Try it. See what's going on.
No, try it. And like he said, like go to your local high school, even, elementary, but go to the principal and just have like a small sell sheet or small agenda business plan and just say, this is what, I would like to do. Start off small. You don't need nothing grand and big. It could be 2 students, because those 2 students are going to turn into 10 quickly. So
yeah, let me give you an example. I was a substitute teacher in the LA City school system about 50 years ago, a little more, put myself through law school.
Mhm.
I substituted on junior high and high school. They told us when there was a fight on the yard, walk to it slowly to give them a chance to get it out of their systems. Now, you think they do that now?
no.
But they might need to.
All right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate you calling, and I hope that information was helpful for you.
That was great. Thank you, Dana and Judge Brown. I appreciate it.
Thank you, young man, for your consideration and your wisdom.
It's all to you, man. I'm trying to grow up. Trying to grow up like y'all.
All right, sir. Keep going. You're doing it.
Good night.
All right. Night.
Who was 424. Hi, press *6 to unmute yourself.
*6.
Hi.
Hi
Hi.
there.
Yes. Hi, Dana. Hi, Judge Joe.
How are you?
Good. I watched your show back in the day. So, yeah, good advice. Always had good counsel. So, yeah, and this is my opinion only, but this is what resonates with my soul. And Dana, I know you could tell reading my comments, but the CRT. And I'm a parent of 3 adult melanin, 2 daughters, 1 son, 5 grandchildren, and I am all for CRT because my understanding when I hear it being explained is that it's going to get to the core and the root of the slave mentality. Because for a slave master to beat for a different race of people to beat other human beings, that is beast-like. And they had to have a warped mindset to even do that. So I feel like their children, and there's melanated people that are against it. All different races are against it. They don't want their children being taught that. But instead of us,
I don't want to interrupt you, but that's not quite what the woman says. I just sent Dana an article that Crenshaw, the woman who came up with this theory, explains what she's doing. She says there's no such thing as race to begin with. She says that's an artificial construct. And she's not being critical in her analysis. That's just a label for what was essentially Black studies back in the late 60s. It's a rebottling of something that's 50 some years old. And in the 60s, it was rehash of what they did in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 10s, and from the late 19th century. It just started getting taught to students as Black history and Black studies when they started setting up minority studies departments in various universities in the late 60s. So it's just a rehash. It's just a name. It's not critical in terms of being a critical analysis. Basically what it is it just blames men, and it laments that women are given no recognition for their suffering in the struggle. And it's basically a feminist position that says race is only an artificial construct and isn't real, and science proves it's not a real thing. So, I mean, it's not even what it's supposed to be.
Well, then it's still being a distraction, because I know for me, I went to high school in the late 70s, and I'm a Californian. And the school that I went to at the time, it was just Black, Mexican.
Where'd you go?
James Litt.
What school? What city were you in? I grew up in LA. I went to Dorothy High.
Well, I was born in LA, but my parents moved me to San Jose, California.
Okay.
Because didn't nobody even know about San Jose, California back in the day, right?
I did.
So
You could get up there at 1650 on PSA.
okay. Well, anyway, so when I was in high school, it was just black, Mexican, and white folks. And I'm a yellow girl like you, Dana. And back in the day, I was too yellow for the black kids, and I was too black for the white kids. So the Mexican kids embraced me. My point is, I'm neutral to everybody. But in school history, I didn't, because it started at slavery. So we do, whether this CRT is fake or whatever, that needs to be taught in schools what happened, the mentality of slavery, not just black folks, because that's what I took from it back in high school, that we was all slaves, we was all beneath human, we was all stupid, we was that, and all through my life, that was deep rooted in me, like I wasn't good enough. And like white beauty, if you wasn't blonde with blue eyes, now mind you, I had natural blonde friends that we vibe, because I can be friends with a purple person as long as we vibe and resonate. But yeah, it made me feel throughout my life. And now in my 50s, I've woken up to the truth, because everything's being exposed now, the truth of the schools, the governments, and everything, you know? And so when I was in school all through my life, I felt subconsciously like I wasn't good enough because I didn't look like, you know, back in the day, every commercial was white folks. Every commercial, Leave It to Beaver, what's the other one? The Brady Bunch, all of that. And that's what we had to sit there and look at and think that
let me ask you this. How can critical race theory help with that today? Because this is no longer the 70s where you have black everywhere, right? Where it's not just dominated in media, social media by whiteness. So how is critical race theory going to help black people today?
Well, I think it's not just black people, it's everybody, these children, because it won't continue. These, you know, there's some white people, they say they're not racist. Some of them can't help it. They were raised that way to think that they're better than. And our children need to know, these little children need to know, we're on an equal playing field here. We're all the same. We're human beings. That's what we are.
No, I get what you're saying, but I disagree with that.
Let me put this proposition from two different directions. Okay, you're well-to-do middle class, upper middle class white, and somebody starts squatting on the property next to you, and effectively their trailer park trash. They literally pull the trailer up and park it in the backyard. They start drinking beer every night. They get drunk. They get to fighting, throwing glass bottles, trash, and debris all over the place, putting old broke down cars up on milk crates. And white people get upset at somebody trying to trash their neighborhood if they even happen to be white. Let's whip it over. We have upper middle class blacks, and somebody gets sick and one of their nieces moves in with her 9 children, quarrelsome bunch of 7 babies' daddies, and they get drunk, play loud music, smoke joints all over the place, trash the place, don't cut the yard, and they've got broke down cars up on milk crates. We don't like that either, even if they nominally look to be the same race. Right. So often happens you get the black poor folk around the white well-to-do folk, and sometimes the trailer park trash around the black folk. Yeah. So it may have more to do with an economic disparity. Like sometimes you get a problem where you've got an upscale neighborhood. Some developers bribe the town alderman and city councilman, get zoning variances. They put in 4,200 apartment units, small ones, low to moderate income with a lot of Section 8 housing, whereas everybody was leaving their front doors open because there's no problems. Now you get rashes of burglary. Right. Everybody is looking at them, get them the hell out of there. I don't want them here. See, and they may be black, they may be white, but the bottom line is because of their behavioral indexes, you don't want them around. You don't want somebody, whether it's hip hop or hillbilly, you don't want them sharing their music from 4 blocks away. And you don't want to come to a restaurant to enjoy yourself, and some damn fool on the far side of the lot is yelling at somebody else about sex he had with some woman the night before and how she's a B and an H, whether it's said with a black twang or a southern white twang. We don't want that. That's called no class.
Yeah.
So,
But call it. Wait 1 second. Call it. You said you was for CRT.
Yeah.
Well, before the judge broke it down, because what my understanding, like I said, when I heard it being explained, it was explained the way I conveyed it to you two, and then the judge broke it down what the real is. So when it was conveyed to me, and I understood it as being teaching these children that their ancestors had a mental problem that treated others as animals. These kids need to know that from the jump, because it's engraved in them. I have a client, just example, and then I'm going to go. I have a client. He's a white man. He's been my client for a few years now. And don't get me wrong, I like everybody, like I said, it's cool with me as long as we vibe. We understand each other. And he tries to say little things like, yes, like sometimes, we'll be talking. He'll say, yes. Yeah, right? Mm. And I had to put him in his place. And then recently, he said a whole sentence of what a slave would respond to a white slave master. And I said to him, hey, were you a slave master in a previous lifetime? Trying to lighten it up. And then I'm sorry, I'm just joking. So my point is, they can't help it. And I even broke it down to him. I said, you can't help it because your ancestors, they had that mentality. And it goes down through the bloodline. So they don't know it. They're not conscious that they're racist. So they're little kids, because it'll stop that mess. Because they'll be aware of it now. And they're not better than nobody. These teenagers and above, they think, I live in Portland, Oregon. So there's a lot of white folk here, but there's some nice ones too. But on the whole, they think they're so superior. And look at me. Well,
let me say this. Let me say this, because you're saying that, to a certain degree, CRT being taught in schools could stop that type of mentality. But you have to understand, for me, that mentality in a child came from the parent. CRT should be, so adults, this is why it should be taught in college, because first of all, children can't critical think in grammar school or high school just yet. You have to develop that. So this behavior but 1 second, the behavior of ignorance is passed down from the parents. The parents are ignorant from their parents. So, and honestly, I think everyone else other than Black should be educated on critical race theory. But go ahead.
Right? No, I totally agree with you. Totally. Mm-hmm. So there we have it. That I just had to unload y'all.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. People should know it if it is in fact a critical assessment of race relations. But it's not critical. It's just a new label. Yeah. One of the problems I have is I've taught school. Like I said a little earlier today, I taught junior high and high school as a substitute teacher in the LA City school system 50 some years ago. Now, that's how I sent myself through law school. I've also been a college professor and an adjunct law professor, and I've lectured at some of the major law schools in the country. I would have to say, though, it's just unfortunate. The students are devolving. The typical sophomore in college is about on the average level of a 9th grade smart student 50 years ago. Yeah. They are not taught critical thinking. The classes don't go, Mr. Williams, what do you think about our homework assignment last night? Particularly if I might direct your attention to the issue the author had with the following proposition. Okay, Mr. Wilson, what do you think about that? Ms. Jackson, did he in fact broach those issues, or is that just a figment of the teacher's imagination? Mr. Osgood, what do you think, young man? Tell us what you think. Oh, come on. Did you read the material? Well, can't you give us a
Right.
better now? Mr. Brown, what do you think, Mr. Brown? Come on now, give it to me. Come on, come on. Oh, does anybody in this class think at all? Are we all automatons? I don't want you to be a recorder. Just tell me what was said. I want you to analyze. Come on now, think. Somebody think. Or are we all just low-grade morons up in here? How about you? Good, good, excellent. Somebody build on that. Ms. Smith, what do you have to add to that? Sit down, Ms. Smith. We'll come back to you. Mr. Jackson over here, the other Mr. Jackson. What do you think, young man? Good, good, good. Now we're talking.
Right. They don't do
See,
that
they
anymore.
don't do that now.
Thank you, caller.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
Bye.
your astute observation. It was important.
Thank you. Be
You're
well, you
welcome.
guys.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Great caller. Now I see the callers in queue. Everyone is in order. I write your area code down. So just give me a second. Before I go to the next caller, which would be 571, then Chief Cook, I want to play this, Judge. I want to play this for you and I want to get your thoughts on it. One second, let me share it.
So we have that music that they have while everybody's waiting. Dun, 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 dun.
So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, responded sharply to questions from Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida, Republican for Florida, on Wednesday about the examination of critical race theory in the U.S. military. And this is what he said. It's a quick video.
Today, I know my time is very precious, but I would like to yield some of my time to General Milley because I know that he had some comments that he wanted to make when Representative Gaetz was talking, as well as Mr. Waltz, about a similar subject of the stand down and race theory. Would you like a minute or so to comment on that? Do you remember what your line of questioning or thought was there?
Sure. First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets, but I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you, General. Changing.
My reaction,
Yes.
a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. First place, the United States Constitution never referred to Negroes as 3/4 of a person, nor 3/5. Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown popularized that. What the Constitution says in Article 1 is for purposes of apportioning representation in the House of Representatives, 3/5 of all people in involuntary servitude or slavery shall be counted toward the apportionment. That's what it says. It doesn't say anybody's 3/5 or 3/4. So that's crap. Second doggone thing is, yes, you study it, but as aforesaid, if you want to study this stuff, just go back and look at some of the curriculum from 1967, 68 at most of the major universities that had Black studies on the agenda, and you can find it. There's nothing new. It's not going to explain what's going on. It doesn't stand for any of the propositions he said. I don't even think has read the stuff. He just got a briefing, and you read it from the horse's mouth. I gave you what the woman who's invented the term came up with, Crenshaw. You read it. Does that sound like what she wrote?
No, but he did say he wants to understand white rage.
Yeah, well, what the hell does white rage have to do with the critical race theory? That's not even part of the thing about white rage.
Maybe it has to do with white people putting people of color in subordination positions, being subordinate.
Okay, well, let me explain what's going on. It's a catchphrase which this woman seized on. She popularized it, and now everybody wants to act like they know what it's about. So they hear things and then they speak authoritatively, and they don't even have a bloody clue as to what they're talking about. He didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm rather appalled at the fact somebody that is a 4-star full general in the United States Army has that much abysmal ignorance when it comes down to what the situation is. See, he's also a political hack. Did you hear him say these people who invaded here to overthrow the Constitution?
Yeah.
What the people involved were doing is First Amendment. You have a right to assemble, to petition for redress of grievance. That's in the First Amendment. That's the way it reads. That's a quote on it, a part of it anyway. So the Supreme Court has said petition does not necessarily mean a written formal petition. It may be demonstration or protest. So the people under the First Amendment have a right to assemble, that is, come together to petition for redress of grievance.
571.
So they broke the Constitution because they came to
because they stormed the Capitol or something.
Yeah,
so.
well, it was basically a whole lot of crap blown out of proportion because the summer preceding, all of the Antifa, BLM, LGBT camps actually started tearing up a lot. It was thousands, not 180 of them. And by the way, did you read that list of the people that were mentioned by name in the indictments?
No, but somebody only got probation. So
no, that's not the point. You see, in an indictment, you can list people who are not indicted but are party participants. 1/4 of the names in these indictments were law enforcement officials. So in other words, 1/4 of the 180 people in there were law enforcement.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? I warned people about we can't have unity until we weed out the snitches, the pimps, the hoes, the informants, and the agents, because all you do is bring yourself grief if you try to unify with your enemy. Right. So what you had here was amongst the white people, 1/4 of the people that were in there were somehow or another connected with law enforcement. And although they're named in the indictments, they are not indicted parties. They're just actors, and they're designated as law enforcement.
All right, 571. Hi.
How you doing, Dana?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great. And the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, how are you?
How you doing?
Thank you, Eric Kirkwood, for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, please hit that like button. I have over 1,000 people listening and only 600 likes. So hit that like button. Thank you. Go ahead.
If you don't hit the like button, now come back and I make sure you get handed, you know. I talked to Mama Leclerc down on Bourbon Street. She come up with big hand on you.
Go ahead, caller.
Man.
Okay.
Hey, man,
okay, Judge. I have a couple questions for you about critical race theory. As you know, critical race theory is a flashpoint right now in America, and of course in the public school domain. And if you could, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen to our young people? Let's say it does get implemented in school
It's not teaching you
50 years from
anything.
now.
It's not
Again?
teaching you anything. It was brought up in the last part of the 19th century, the first part of the 20th century, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. It got formalized in what they call Black Studies in the 1960s, late 1960s. And all it is a rebranding of the same old thing. They just put a new label on it. It's like instead of Oreos, you got cream filled chocolate centers, So what? It's still an Oreo cookie. And it doesn't say anything new. It doesn't add anything. And the premises of the woman who came up with the idea is that race is specious. There's no such thing as race. And scientifically, it's proven there is no race.
Well, race is a social construct.
Yeah, I know. But the bottom line is there is some genetic basis to it. Like, for example, the genetic makeup of people whose ancestors have remained in Africa until modern times is somewhat different from those whose ancestors left Africa 95,000 years ago. You can trace that through DNA. So there are some differences.
So, Carla, what is your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
The judge kind of, he kind of encapsulated what I asked. But what other measures can be put in place because as the previous caller mentioned, that, there are, of course, white kids growing up thinking that they're superior. And then you have black and brown kids or not in the dominant society feeling that they're inferior. So what can we put in place to, close that gap?
An objective teaching of history would cure it all, but they don't like to do that. Also, see, we have a problem with this self-hate thing. Black folks suffered from it. Oh God, how bad back in the 60s, early 60s. But we did a self-help thing. We became black and proud and black power and all of that. Nowadays, we have LGBTQ and they're deep into self-hate. They hate what they are and they hate what they want to be. They don't like the fact that they're male. They want to be female, or they don't like being female. They want to be male, but they hate the opposite sex and they hate the sex that they are. So they're filling the national framework with self-hate once again. And they can't deal with anything critical because you can be sure it's not really critical race theory because that might hurt somebody's feelings, for God's sake. And we can't say anything that hurts anybody's feelings because we all have to feel good. We can't be critically analytical. See, if it was critical analysis, it would be one thing. It's not. It's just a label. And if you want to get it, you can still look this stuff up. Look up the curriculum for a Black Studies program back in the late 60s. You'll get the same thing in a more erudite fashion with a little bit more objectivity because people were paying attention to it. It's been a forgotten art for 50 years because people are saying, oh, we're all inclusive. The race problem is dead. No, it's not. It was just hiding.
And also, there were a lot of politicians, community board members that took out Black studies out of colleges.
They did.
CUNY in New York, that was one of them. They basically took out all of the Black studies off their curriculum.
One problem.
So it's like, why? So what are you trying to do with this critical race thing? So now you're trying to bring it back, but in a different word and a different form.
Label.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's called an academic hustle. People want to get hired for these nice jobs with tenure and dependable employment. Jobs are hard.
Oh.
But you see, one of the problems with Black studies is it devolved into triteness. It was by the end of the time when they stopped really getting into Black studies, people found you can't get a job with that as a major. Also, they found that it was unreal. And also it predated this thing where everybody's talking about white supremacy. Yeah, white supremacy is real. It exists, but it's adversity. What I like to say about adversity is Simba was hell of an adverse element living on the Serengeti.
I think what people don't understand too about white supremacy is white people suffer under white supremacy too.
Yeah, but forget them suffering. I'm just saying the bad thing about this concept of white supremacy is it takes what is ordinary day-to-day adversity and it converts it to a boogeyman that keeps people helpless. As I was saying, our ancestors dealt with Simba on the Serengeti, but they did not hide in little hovels from the lion. They made it a rite of passage to manhood. A 13-year-old boy had to go out with nothing but a wooden spear with no iron head on it and kill Simba to show he was worthy to being trained up to be a man by the time he got 13. So 13-year-old boys kill Simba. Well, 13-year-old boys can deal with adversity here, but we got it as a boogeyman. Yo, man, what's the point, man? White supremacy gonna hold you down, man. Ain't no point. What trying, man? Just get you a blunt, man. Get high, man. And play your video games, man. See,
I hate when you have that
yeah,
accent.
I know it's obnoxious, isn't it? But it's real. It's just a damn excuse for being a lame, lazy ass, no good, nothing with no manhood. Men face adversity, whether it's a lion, a saber-toothed cat, it's a short-faced 2,000-pound bear, it's a polar bear, it's a grizzly bear, it's a crocodile, it's a panther, it's a leopard, it's anything. It's wolves. Human males deal with those things. So we have adversity. People have been killing each other since day one. And it's called xenophobia, not just racism. Racism is a form of xenophobia. What's xenophobia? Fear, loathing, or distaste for the different.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
And that was a good question. Yeah. Okay, so I have two people dropped off. 205, you were like second to next in queue and you keep dropping off. So now let me bring in the
Wrap
one.
yourself off now.
Right. Let
Stay
me bring in
on
the
that
one and
line
only
now,
Chief.
you
Oh,
guys.
also, thank you, Chuck Diesel. He says the beautiful Dana and the honorable regal Judge Joe. Thanks for spreading the real knowledge to the masses. We appreciate y'all. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you so very much for that. It's greatly appreciated, old fellow. You know what there?
Hi, Chief Cook.
Hey, Dana. Hey, how you doing, Judge?
How you doing, sir? Chief, how are you?
That's fine. Yeah, I'm Dana. I'm glad you put that video of the general. I'm glad I was hoping we'll talk about that as well. That right there also showed that the chairman were also embarrassed because he went with Trump on Lafayette Square, and he got pissed off by that. That was one thing he was so pissed off. Second thing he was talking about, well, I mean, people, the 60 million people that invaded, he called it the Capitol, because the we all know the Republican Party didn't do that job and investigate the voting fraud. And that's part. It amazed me how the military didn't try to do anything about that. Even though the Constitution of the United States was fringe when an election was going on, and you stood there because Trump put you out there. You stand next to Trump, and you got mad, and they got on you. So I'm glad you put that out there. Second
Well, he
thing
sounds like he's trying to keep his job with the jackass and thief right now in the White House.
And
that he's being a political hack. That had politics written all over it. There was no objectivity to that.
Yes, but he forgot. He must forgot the memo that the FBI and me and law enforcement we received that said that Antifa infiltrated the Trump the rally.
Yes, they did. And what I was remarking to Dana on is when they released the indictments that they persecuted these people on, basically they're just guilty of misdemeanors, but they're getting them on felonies. They didn't get anybody on felonies in the summer stuff when it was a lot worse. But essentially what happened is all of the people named in the various indictments, 25% of them turned out to be police or some law enforcement personnel. So in other
Yeah.
words, 1/4 of the people up in that 180 people were officials. They had infiltrated, and they were, what were they up to? You
Yeah,
mean to
because
tell me
we were
you're a
asked.
cop and you are undercover with something?
Yes,
And you
I was
can't
about to
say
say that.
they're
Yes,
ready to come in there? What's going on?
yes,
Or
it's
did they provoke it? See,
yes.
back in the 60s, hey man, let's throw a brick through the window. No, man. Come on, let's throw. I know you. You're a detective down at the Westwood precinct. I saw you down there. I was paying a parking ticket. You want me out of cop? Yes, you are. Your name is Jackson.
Mhm.
See, I mean,
Thank you
that's been
to
going on for
Pan
years.
African BMGTOW Black man. He says, LOL, over, and the black boogeyman is racism. Fire.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
boogeyman. Baba
and,
Yaga. Baba Yaga. What's it saying, John Wick? Yes, the Baba Yaga.
I stay
and the
on hold.
boogeyman.
Stay right there, Chief Cook. Stay right there. Let me bring in this other caller that's been sitting here for a minute. 404. Hi. Press *6 404. And 404, after 404, I see 708 and 434 and 229. 404, you've been on hold for a minute. *6. If you could hear me, they probably fell asleep. And while 404 get it together, press *6 to unmute themselves. I also want to say this. I would love to hear from the lawyer that calls in here and there. I believe that was area code 602, the lawyer. I got an email for someone who will like your business contact information because I guess they're looking for legal services. And, from the times you did call into the show is very informative about your knowledge on the law. So 602, Mr. Lawyer Man, if you hear me, if you are listening, please send me an email, dana@gmail.com, and call into the show. I miss your comments. Also, thank you to Christian Syntax says, hi, Dana. Hi, Judge. Hi. Okay, 404. Hello.
Hey, Dana. Hey, Judge. This is Ray from Reconstruction at the Dinner Table podcast.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, I can't hear you. You got to talk up more. Talk up louder.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey, Judge. Hey, Dana. Just wanted to touch bases with y'all. One of the things that I see that's not in the conversation about critical race theory is that if you teach it in K through 12 and the reading levels are so low, that means the comprehension levels are so low. And that means they don't have the support at home to even digest that information. So even before we get to putting it in the schools, there's no support for whether if you believe in it or not, there's no support really for that child to digest it. So it should stay just in college. And we should focus on families, and we should focus on giving family support to build strong families. And when you build strong families, you build strong communities. That should be our focus. All this extra stuff is kind of putting the horse before the carriage.
I think there is a need for a critical analysis of race relations, but that's not what we're getting. We're just getting what's called an academic hustle. A rebrand job. And I hate to rank the sisters game, but it's gaming everybody because it's getting such traction and everybody's getting caught up in spinning wheels on mush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's very intelligent, but a lot of times people who are smart and who have good diction, they can finesse people into believing what they believe or whatever they're trying to put out there.
Well, she's a feminist.
She is clearly
anti-man. She doesn't like men.
And, again, her TED Talks presentation, it was a really good presentation. But if you are not a critical thinker, no matter what age you are, you will consume what she's saying as if that's it, and it's so much involved when we're talking about intersectionality and people. That's a trick bag for people to get confused. So, but go ahead.
How about if you Go ahead. I was just
I
going to
def-
say intersectionality is another one of those words. A lot of people don't have a clue as to what that means. See, so when we discuss academic things, we drop phrases that have meanings for us, but don't have meanings for other people who might be listening in on the conversation. See, half of this is an inside conversation. You know, it's for what they call the cognoscente, those who have knowledge of the subject. So
what you going to say, caller?
Subject to abuse. What do these things mean?
I definitely agree with y'all standpoint, but from a standpoint of being in a household and the actual child, they're not going to get it no matter what information, if they fix it to where it's perfect or what they putting out. They're not going to understand it because they can't read. And we're not focusing on kids actually learning how to read.
Yes.
Like that's my argument with the CRT. So that makes me think it's not really for our kids. It's for the upper class kids. Right. And they gonna promote whatever agenda.
Sir, it's for nobody's kids. It's for some academic who's trying to pull off an academic hustle. They want tenure.
Right.
Thank you for
and see, if you want to find out about it, just look at Old Black Studies and you can get all you need.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for calling in.
All of the
no problem, Dana. Thank you.
All right.
Silly rhetoric.
I
hate to down somebody's stuff, but you know, you got 4-star generals in the U.S. Army trying to have a discussion. You got Congress tied up in it's nothing but BS, relabeled garbage.
Thank you.
Degenerated from something new 54 years ago into something that is stale now.
Thank you, Chester Davis Jr. He says, this is Sir Chester Davis Jr. to the lady of the house, Dana. Great job. Thank you. I hope to be a guest on your show soon. Tell Judge I said hello. I'll hit him up tomorrow. Manpower. 205. Hi.
What's up, Dana? How you doing?
Good. You called, you was on hold, you dropped called, so I was like, let me keep him in queue.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dana. It's just a bad thing out here in Alabama. So I'm glad I'm on the line with you. How you doing, Judge?
How are you, sir? How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. This is a very intriguing conversation we had, and I just want to let the American people know that slavery would never go away. It's just like South Africa was in apartheid. It was tearing the country up. And, you know, you had white people still was out and about and shopping. Well, one particular lady was shopping and getting wigs. And all of a sudden, they hit up upside her head. I guess she didn't know the war was going on, but I guess she found out then. I want people to understand the very people that put Nelson Mandela in prison is the very ones that let him out. They would not let him out unless there's something behind the scenes. Unless the money was, the currency was being cut off, and then what do? He gets out of prison after 27 years and tell his wife, I think we need to be apart. Wait a minute, bro. This one been out here ducking, dodging bullets, holding it down, kicking behind, and then all of a sudden you want to be apart from your black queen. Well, imagine that. See, we'll never forget slavery. You got the Jews get $250 million annually in their museum and their documentaries. Show me where slavery been documented on screen in the theaters. No, you will never see that. I want American people to understand slavery will never go away. And that good old Willie Lynch, he said he had a foolproof plan to control his slaves. And it stands today, Judge, it'll never go away. Turn the old man to get the young man.
He made it part of the culture. One of his secrets was you must make the elements of slavery part of the Negro's culture. So when they adhere to the tenets of their culture, they will be adhering to the tenets of slavery. He said, if you do this, then they will make slaves of themselves and their posterity for the next 400 years. We still have another 80 some years to go. So
you doggone right, Judge. So I'm gonna end this in closing because I don't want Dana, to wrap me up. Somebody said this in closing. Judge, I was 8 years old and I got bit in the behind by a German Shepherd. It was very painful. My dad took me to the doctor, gave me 2 shots. But just because I got bit in the buttocks by a dog don't mean the pain went away. Just like slavery. The pain will never go away. And white people will never understand our plight. They'll never understand. And quit saying, oh, my best friend is black. Oh, you mean the one that's locked up? Because you don't find out a way to lock us up too. So that's all I got to say. I appreciate you, Dana, for being patient.
Wait a
You just
minute. Let
dog.
me ask you this question. How did the dog bite you on the butt?
Well, I was coming home from school and I thought I was almost there to the house. And all of a sudden I felt a warm sensation on my buttocks. And I
Are you
looked around.
serious? Or are you? Is that a true story?
That's a true story. That's a true story. I still got the markings all the way up to now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man, like I said, that pain will never go away, just like slavery. And I'd like to thank you, Dana. You've been just a sweetheart. I'd like to thank you, Judge. You always my favorite. I keep telling my wife, you're looking at the judge kind of hard, ain't you? Let me cut this TV off. But I thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. By the way, for anybody listening, I got a new product I'm trying to add a little bit into the retirement.
What, the barbecue
Called
sauce?
Judge Joe Brown Barbecue.
Yeah, I have that. We're gonna
judge.
promote that in a minute because I need for you to do a drop. So just hold
Yeah.
on to that. Thank you, hip to the
I just
dip.
thought I'd mention it.
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
May need to take a vacation or something.
Yeah. Hip to the dip. He says, I love JJB. I'm a gay man and I wish there were a million more brothers just like him in America. Why did you have to say you were gay though? Maybe because the way your comments on gay people? I don't know, but he's gay, but he loves what you have to say, basically.
Well, I mean, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. That's business. That's your freak business. Get your freak on. Hell, I get mine on when I'm in there with a woman.
I think
But,
he said that he.
I got that. I get this significance. Thank you very much.
Right.
I try to be fair and impartial and call them fair and square.
Thunder Sound says CRT is a political stalemate, just useless debate over synthetic problems. School only teaches persuasion over critical thinking.
That's not a bad way of putting it, by the way.
Yeah, it's not. 708. Hi.
A synthetic problem.
Hey, Dana.
That is it.
Hello.
Hey, Dana. Hey, Dana. Hey, Judge. How you doing? Peace.
Good.
Peace.
You know what I wanted to say, some of the callers stole some of my thunder, but it definitely begins at home, in the house. You know, all these critical race theories, different things. Either you have a love for history, a love for your people, or you don't. You know, I know we have some, you know, well, not some, we have a lot of broken homes within our community, but that's why it's important to have mentors, and especially men that's in, even if you're not in that household, you need to be in your kid's life, give them some information. I heard the caller before me talk about the Willie Lynch letter, but nobody talks about breaking the curse of Willie Lynch by the brother Alvin Morrow. And he talks about, at the end of that book, he talks about having a strong economic base. And, you know, we could sit up here and say, well, we're doing this and that, or the man is keeping us down and this and that. We spoke on it a couple of weeks ago. Get into the trades. If you ain't going to school, get into some businesses. You know, we can't keep having this same scenario as far as we want people that really never cared about us in the first place to teach us something. Either you got it within yourself or you don't. You know, I don't want to sound cold or or hard. Or what's your thoughts on that, Judge?
I think you're about right. You know,
yeah, you know,
be
it's
cold and harsh. I mean, see, when you start tying up the public's time and start influencing the public's mind and its thought process and its belief systems, sometimes you have to speak up and counter it. I mean, CRT is a disingenuous academic solution to a non-existent academic problem. What's that mean? The bull eats the grass, he digests it, chews his cud, goes back in, and then it drops to the ground. That's what it is. I'm being polite, Miss Dana. Didn't I do well then?
Yes, you did.
No, that's for sure. I hear where you
yeah,
coming
and you know
from.
what? I agree with what you said too, caller. It's, and it's a lot. What sometimes when callers, when they come in and you're not asking a question, you're just making a statement. I mean, it's a valid statement. I totally agree with you.
I mean, when he
I
said
don't
that,
have
I
any
had one
problem
right.
with what you're saying. I don't have a problem with it.
Definitely, and it's no excuse because I went through that for a long time. As far as having a chip on your shoulder all the time and walking around like Michael from Good Times and trying to point everything out black and this and that. Yeah, I love my people. I love this and that. But guess what? We're going to have to work. At the end of the day, we're going to have to get up in the morning to work or own your own business. Because like you say, listen, when them kids in Africa, when they come into manhood, when they 13 or whatever, listen, they ain't making no excuses. Bottom line. And I think over here, now I ain't been all around the world, but I think over here right now in the U.S., we got more opportunity than anywhere else. And can't nobody else, and that's, I mean, come on now, let's be realistic about it. I mean, we can fuss and argue and complain. Do you really think they're going to teach you?
Nope,
I mean, let's be real about this. Do you really think they're going to teach you? Come on, let's stop it.
Right.
And look at what we've done. We've made being a school teacher one of the lowest paid professions.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we expect, they spend more time with our children than we do. But we pay them
And also, I
less.
was going to say, too, in closing, as far as I heard somebody say the boogeyman, that is key as well. I used to say they for everything. They for the vaccine. They, when it comes to racism, they in the schools. Man, who is they? I look within myself. I ain't never been perfect, but I had a guy, a older guy who I, still, respect. He was a mentor in my life for a long time, as I was raising my kids. And he told me one thing has always stuck with me. The biggest enemy is the inner me. I'm not going to walk with blinders on. We know about what's been going on. Enough people that's conscious and woke. But when we going to look within, like Ed O.G. and the Bulldog said, be a father to your child. So at the end of the day, it started at home, whether we want to admit it or not. It started at home. And like you said, Judge, it ain't putting no blinders on. I heard you said earlier, you got 200, 300, whatever it is, police shooting, but we slaughtering each other year in and year out. But then want to raise the fist and get with Tamika Mallory and my son and be Black Lives Matter for a weekend. And then they give us Juneteenth, which ain't nothing but a weekend. It's a summer version of Kwanzaa. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's cute. I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. And wait a minute. It's in June, Gay Pride Week. Have you seen what the gay folk have
Gay
done?
Pride Month, honey.
Have you seen what they have done to?
Oh, well, I'm out here in Chicago, so I may.
Wait. Have you seen what they have done? Let me show you. Go to Twitter and type in Juneteenth, and this is what you get.
While you do that, I want to say thank you.
Look. See this? See the rainbow fist? See that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's reversed, but it says Juneteenth. That's what you get when you type it in, a rainbow fist. They've already co-opted it. They're running commercials. Wow. Congratulations on becoming part of Black Pride Month. When the hell did we become part of Gay Pride Month? I mean, congratulations. Juneteenth will make another addition to the wonderful celebrations of Gay Pride Month. What the hell?
Because they're going to put gay Black people on the front lines of Juneteenth.
Yeah, and say they're going to co-opt it in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Like, let me give an example. When you think of December 25th, what do you think of? Jesus, right? Birth of baby Jesus. Actually, the Eastern Orthodox Church and Catholicism used to celebrate it either in late February or early March. They moved it to December 25th because it's also the birthday of Mithras, the Roman legionnaires' god, the birthday of Odin, the Norse chief god, the birthday of Osiris, the Egyptian chief god, and they didn't want the pagans to continue to celebrate it, so they switched Jesus to the 25th from early March. So now everybody assumes the 25th is Jesus. Estra, that's Easter. Estra was the goddess Estrus, Aphrodite, Venus, Isis, fertility, the bunny. You know, bunnies screw all the time and always get knocked up, and you laid the Easter eggs out and you followed the ones with the right marking, and you got your lover in the bushes, and you were encouraged to do the do. But, you know, they made that when Christ rose from the dead. So now that's what you think of. So they switch it from one thing to another. So you get an association that had nothing to do with the original. So Juneteenth, what's it celebrating? We didn't get free. The Civil War didn't end. The Emancipation Proclamation wasn't then. The 13th Amendment wasn't ratified on June 19th. So what the hell are they celebrating? You see what I'm saying?
For the summer.
Empty holiday.
Kwanzaa for the summer.
Right.
That's what it is. Kwanzaa for the summer. That's fact. Big fact.
Black people,
and I'm gonna say this too.
Yeah, here you go. You black people, man, you ought to feel happy, man. We give you a new holiday, man. Aren't you proud? I mean, look how much we've done for you, man.
Caller, you have the last word.
All right, thanks for the taking my call. And I was gonna say this as well. You know, the killer part is over the years, you know, me and some brothers, we started a little book club and tried to get some, you know, support within our community, right? And then a lot of times, you know, what our own people will say, oh, I ain't into that militant stuff. Now, how hard is it to read? But then you want to sit up here 10, 15 years later and want to argue about critical race theory. But when we did have a book club amongst ourselves, you know what they say? Oh, man, I ain't into that black stuff.
Right.
That's how brainwashed we are.
I like your thank you for calling, and I like your thought pattern. Is see, men who think the way you do, that's very attractive.
Dana, quit flirting.
Sure. Hey, Dana, don't forget about the Miko Booth. Get him on that soon. Get him on there.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
I love you because you flirt, Dana. That's so sweet of you.
Thank you, caller. All right, bye. Okay, so thank you, Chester Davis. He says, what's the calling number? I'm calling in IB 424, and I'm going to take your call over everyone else because you donated. That's how it works. So after 424, then I'm going to 302. After 424 is going to be 434, then 302, and we're going to wrap it up. 424, press *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you again. The Thunder Sound says emancipation on January 1st. So America didn't want to share New Year's with Black, and also repair Heartbreak Day on January 1st when slaves were auctioned off. Thank you, Thunder Sound. All right, 424. Hi, Chester.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's some type of reverb going on. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, but if you have something playing in the background, like your laptop or something, turn it off.
All right. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, better.
All right. We are live tonight. Judge, what's going on, Mr. Judge? This is Chester.
Got it.
My man, my main man. Judge is a badass, I'm telling you. Judge is a man who is in his 70s and he's living like a 20-year-old. And I admire him so much. You know what? I don't have, I guess I have a super comment, if you will. I don't have any type motif tonight. I just want to say, Judge, I love you. You are a great person. You have been a mentor to me for the last, probably 3-4 years, helping me out. Dana, to the lady of the house, thank you for hosting tonight and, having Judge on your shows. I enjoy them. And, that's all I really wanted to say is I just wanted to give his flowers. We have to give flowers to people, even though he has a lot more to live. He's going for the mayor. He's going to get that mayoral position in Memphis, right? Right, Judge? We gonna
That's
knock it out the
right.
park. We gonna knock it out the park. Everybody, we just give this man his flowers now.
Thank you.
My gosh.
So do you have a question or a comment about the topic?
I'm not here about the topic, sweetheart. I'm here just to give accolades to you, first and foremost, because you are the lady of the house.
Okay.
Not only that, I want to give my flowers to Judge because he has been such a brilliant man, a hell of a man in my life. And he knows this. We chat all the time.
Oh, you know him?
We know each other very well. We know each other very well. Yes. So I just publicly, just giving him his flowers, his leitmotif. So but just that's it. I'm just here listening to the show. I'm enjoying the show. I actually came on a little late, so I don't know what the topic is, but I just wanted to say thank you to Miss Dana, to Miss Lovely Dana. Right.
Thank you, Chester.
Opinionated, but yet gorgeous, Dana, and also Judge, who is, we can't say enough about him. We need more men who are just going to speak the truth, who are going to hold the torch. But the thing is that he's getting to a point to where he's trying to hand the baton off. He's trying to hand the torch off, and there's very few that actually are capable of doing that, and which is unfortunate in the Black community, just in the man community. So this is something that we need to be able to be cognizant of. It's been unfortunate, but we're going to keep striving on as long as God keeps pumping wind in his lungs, and I pray that that's going to be for a long, long time. And I love this man very dearly. We are going to keep striving on. So that's all I want to say. God bless y'all tonight, and we keep striving on. Manpower, right? There's manpower every single day, right, Judge?
There you go.
Striving on.
Man up.
We have to keep
Thank you, Chester.
Promote manhood and protect womanhood.
Protecting womanhood and promoting manhood. There you go.
Yes, there you go, sir. All right, guys. You have a blessed night.
You too.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. I appreciate you. Also, thank you to Stefan Moore. He says, thank you, Dana and Judge Joe Brown, for pushing facts over fiction. If Sha'Carri Richardson wins Olympic gold or breaks FloJo record, watch how the LGBTQ people try to make her accomplishment about them. Exactly. Now, I don't know if you saw or heard of Sha'Carri Richardson? She, when they had the track and field Olympic trials this past Sunday, she won the 100 meters. She's super fast, and she's like the new it girl for the U.S. team going into the Olympics. And already it was some white person on Instagram saying, oh, thank you to Sha'Carri Richardson, and then the NFL player that came out as gay. And I'm saying to myself, she never said she was gay. She never made an announcement. She don't have nothing on her Instagram, about her being gay or being in a relationship. Why do you think she's gay? And you're right. So they're already trying to claim her on that LGBT, and then label it Black girl magic, LGBT, queer people in sports dominate. No.
There's one thing about FloJo. In addition to being a fellow alumni of UCLA like me, she sure was fine with her unfortunately now deceased self. That's tragic.
Right. But again, what does their sexual orientation
I don't know what this woman
have to do?
I know, but I don't know who this woman is.
Yeah, she's the new it girl on the track and field.
Let's see if she gets some medals and does what FloJo does with her high fashion running and her fine self.
Right. And why are they already bringing LGBTQ in it?
Well, don't you know that's so important how you do it? Maybe, are the people who do it doggy style more important than the ones who do reverse cowgirl on top?
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, which one's more important? I mean, leave it to Beaver.
Oh boy.
434.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Judge Joe Brown. It's been a pleasure to get to hear from you the first time. Dana,
Thank you.
I really appreciate your show. I'm still
Thank you.
learning. Now, before we go any further, I want to clear something up because this whole critical race theory is a critical distraction.
It
Mr.
is.
Neely Fuller Jr. and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, may God rest her soul, told us what white supremacy racism was. And give the clear definition of what this means is simple. White supremacy is a direct or indirect subjugation of all non-white people by white people for the basic purpose of pleasing and or serving any and all white persons at all times, in all places, in all areas of people activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. This is the only functional racism in existence among the people of the known universe that is based on color and or anti-color in the physical makeup or physical appearance of person. Racism for the sake of racism. To be a member of a race, to be a racist. That is according to Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., the author of one of the greatest counter-racist books I've ever read, which is the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. Now that we got that out the way, let's discuss exactly what the white supremacists are doing at this very moment in time. You notice there's nothing happening in Washington, D.C. with the usual suspects, correct? And you have the tokenized non-white female who is basically put out there as to say, okay, non-white people, if you don't vote for me, Donald Trump will get in office for another 4 years.
By the way, she's officially classified as Caucasian anthropologically because she is an Indo-Aryan, aka Hindu Camille Brown.
Mr. Joe Brown, let me explain this. Only a white person can be a Caucasian. No non-white person can be that.
That's from anthropology.
So only they can tell her that she's going to be a white person or not.
Australians are classified as Caucasian. See, Caucasian is not actually, never was caught up with color. It was some other characteristics. But she's an Indo-Aryan, according to anthropologists, too. Adolf Hitler said they were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, but they lied, and everybody believes it now because they told it long enough. But Indo-Aryans are swarthy to dark-skinned with dark, coarse hair and dark eyes, and they come from India. Just
and,
like
well,
Camilla
you also
Harris.
got to look at it, too. Adolf Hitler learned how to practice subjugation and abuse by a racist man and racist woman, the white supremacists collectively that are operating here in what is called the United States.
Well, he took a lot of notes. He sure did.
Even down to the guy that made General Motors, Henry Ford, who is an avowed white supremacist and anti-Jew person. He had a
he certainly
newspaper in
was,
Detroit.
but he paid his black employees the same as he did the white ones. So, I mean, that's why black folk migrated from the South to Detroit. They wanted to work for Mr. Ford, who would pay them fair wages so they too could buy a Model T.
And so we have to look at this in a context. The white supremacists will always keep non-white people distracted, and they use 6 strategies: racial showcasing, racial dislocation, racial classification, white sacrifice, racial sexual confusion, and all these other isms. Now, let me break this down by a few. I know I got a few minutes here. The first thing they're going to do for us, and what they're doing it already, is racial classification confusion. You got a whole lot of that confusion going on now. As Judge Joe Brown said, Indo-Brahmin. I don't know what that is. That's another form of confusion. Indo-Aryan. It's another form of confusion that the white supremacists will use. You listen to these words: white privilege, white fragility, white this. No, it's white supremacy.
May I ask you a question? You're defining it for me. Are you worried about it?
Honestly, I'm a victim of it, just like you and Miss Dana are.
Well,
The purpose of what we're trying to do is trying to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice.
I fight
That's
back.
what I'm saying. We have to be counter-racist, not this anti-racist nonsense. We have to make white supremacy racism ineffective. And yes, it does start with all of us, predominantly as Black people. We participate in our own subjugation. We pay taxes for administrative brutality. We pay taxes for administrative espionage, administrative subversion. We are paying for this.
How about we
And
just
we
too
are
stupid to take advantage of the opportunities we have by always voting for one party, the old slave
we can do
party,
the best we
never get anything out of it.
We can do the best we can, but
That's
voting
not
is
the best
basically.
we can. We just need to rebel. We can do better than that.
The thing of, see,
by
as Malcolm X
flipping
said,
a different switch.
as Malcolm X said, we have become what is called the football. And I do blame the racial showcasing class, like the Lamont Hills, the Roland Martins, who keep telling us, hey, vote for this white supremacist because he's a Democrat. The white liberal and the white conservative, they're both on the same side. The only difference is the white liberal is a lot more sophisticated in how he or she makes sure that non-white people are totally subjugated by making us feel comfortable in that subjugation. Black Lives Matter, we're going to go out there and hold a sign and protest, but yet we're slaughtering each other in the south side of Chicago. Oh, no, that doesn't matter. Black Lives Matter, they're killing us wholesale. Okay. And then you have the corporations come in that is ran by the same racist people, racist man and racist woman, sponsoring it, aka
why do you call the
financing it.
corporations racist? They're capitalists. So why
They're
do you say
race
racist?
I call them race capitalists because they capitalize on practicing racism against non-white people.
No, but they do that on white people too.
Well, hold on. You know,
White people, white people are only racially sacrificed, and they will only and white people who are sacrificed, they know they're going to be sacrificed in advance. But the majority of the people who will be harmed will always be non-white.
Well, you know, the largest stockholder on American stock exchanges is the government of the People's Republic of China.
Well, and if you see what's going on as of lately, they're trying to put sanctions on them, and they're giving us this propaganda that China is the enemy of the United States.
Who's trying to put sanctions on who? Not the Biden administration.
No, not the Biden administration, but the prior occupant. When
Trump?
He was in there.
Do you understand?
Yeah, and he should have, because of the fact is that China is about to come over here and kick our ass.
No, that ain't wasn't what Trump was doing. He was.
I don't know. I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but what he was doing is making us stronger.
Yeah, but a political reality. The U.S. Navy is way behind the times in what it needs to be doing. And if the People's Republic of China were to, say, invade Taiwan, which they keep threatening to do, the Navy's already released a report this year saying there's nothing we can do past the first 48 hours unless we go directly to World War III. The U.S. Air Force says the same thing. So what Trump was doing was saying, since you have 78% of the world's manufacturing capacity and the U.S. is your best customer, we'll make your people hurt by not being able to sell in our markets if you don't back the hell off. So jackass
and it hurt our markets in the long run.
1 second, caller. Go ahead.
So jackass Biden,
ma'am.
What? See, they backed off of that, so now you have no more sanctions. See, the People's Republic of China stabilizes the world stock exchange. They own more American dollars than the American Treasury does, unless they want to keep printing and deal with massive inflation. They own more of everybody's major currency than the country, including
our inflation is extremely high.
What? Yeah,
the United States inflation is high as hell.
But you see, they control our inflation. They keep it down because we don't have the sense. We're too damn greedy.
Yes, that I can agree. But we have been caught up in this materialistic viewpoint of supporting this. I mean, let me just be honest with you. China's not my enemy because I had nothing to do with them. If the white people who practice white supremacy would keep their nose out of the affairs, we wouldn't be in this problem.
But okay, fine.
That's their nature.
Why can't black folk get into it?
You can't get in something that you don't control.
Oh, you can
But
get
you
in.
do control it. Yes,
You
you
can get
can.
in.
Are we talking about capitalism here? Because we can't
Capitalism-
participate in capitalism if you know how it works.
If you buy
If you practice
capitalism-
group economics.
You buy stock.
Well, we've been taught. I mean, how long we been
You're
taught about
absolutely, wait,
group
one second,
economics?
caller. You're absolutely right,
Sure.
Judge. If you buy stock, if you have an IRA, if you have an investment, a retirement fund, you are participating in capitalism.
Okay, let me give you something. They
Yes.
did a report one time, and out of all the men in Hollywood, there was only one man that got paid more than me, and that was Leslie Moonves, CEO of CBS. So there was.
Oh, you mean the rapist? Yes,
No,
I'm familiar with the
I'm not
rapist.
worried about him raping. Half of them have.
Yeah, and please don't use that word on here, honey, because that's alleged.
So that's
I'm sorry.
That's just nonsense. But anyway, the only man, white or black, paid more than me in Hollywood was Leslie Moonves. So what's that got to say? I beat all the rest of the white talent on TV. So I'm black, and I was uncompromised. So I mean, see, it's a myth.
I've actually watched your
You can get
shows.
anywhere you want if you are bold enough.
Right.
I've watched your
Well,
shows.
wait, caller. I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
the last word right now. So
Sure.
go ahead.
I've watched your shows, and some of your shows that I've watched about you picking after these imitation thugs, because that's not what they were. They were imitation. They wanted to
Some
showcase
of them were
themselves.
real. A lot of them wound up going to jail. I kept up with them.
And you know, the purpose of this is simple. We got to stop wasting our time discussing about these distractions that the white supremacists throw at us. These are distractions. The goal is simple. Let's replace white supremacy with a system of justice. And justice is two parts: guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and guaranteeing that a person who needs help the most gets the most constructive help. That is the prize. We're all over the map. We're going to be black.
Before you go, caller, wait,
we're
wait, 1 second,
anti-sexual.
caller. Wait, one second, caller. Let me ask you this question. Before you go. When you say give help to the people who most need it, so let me ask you this, and this is what Curtis Schoon brought to my attention. I agree with him. Who do you think need the most help, the middle class or the poor?
There is no middle class. There is no poor
There is
class.
a middle class. So, but I'm asking. I need no. There is a middle class. Who do you think should get the help first and more, the middle class or the poor?
You guys are so confused.
No, I'm not confused.
Powerful.
Now, I honestly don't deflect because